petition to join the 2024 presidential race. He now makes for a total of 9 potential Republican contenders in the race.
Conservative life on Mars, because we're living in strange times, I want to go over with you the current field of Republican candidates for the 2024 presidential election. Leading the pack right now, as we all know, your favorite and my favorite, Donald Trump, former president of the United States. His age is 76 years old. He wants to pardon a large portion of the people convicted of the federal offenses for their participation in January 6, 2021. He also supports legislation for protecting America's law enforcement officers. Now we have number 2, former ambassador of the United Nations, Nikki Haley. She is 51 years old. She is the lady that suggested that people that are over 75 years of age go to a mandatory mental capacity test, which I think is warranted. Now, coming up is entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. He is an entrepreneur. He is 37 years old. He wants to increase the voting age to 25 years old. Voters under 25 could possibly be exempt if they are younger, if they complete a national service requirement or pass a civics test. And he also wants to shut down the Department of Education, the FBI, and the IRS and rebuild them from scratch. Interesting. Another businessman entrepreneur, Perry Johnson. He is 75 years old. His campaign positions are cut 2 cents of every dollar in the federal discretionary spending to end inflation and solve the debt crisis. Now, I will be putting up slides, as you already see, of all the candidates and what their campaign positions are. Now, another favorite, conservative talk show host, radio, that is, Larry Elder. He is 71 years old. He wants to secure the southern border by investing in physical barriers and bolstering Border Patrol resources. And he wants to combat China by keeping the Pentagon focused on the national defense and not left-wing social experimentation. Hint, hint on that one. Now we have former governor of Arkansas, Asa Hutchinson. He is 72 years old. His campaign positions are reduce the federal civilian workforce by 10% and expand computer science education to every grade in high school to help America's children understand the computer chip. Go ahead, man. Now we have U.S. Senator from South Carolina, Tim Scott. He actually made this known this week that he's throwing his hat in the ring. He is 57 years of age, campaign positions, signed the most conservative pro-life legislation that Congress sends to him, would not specify how many weeks into a pregnancy he would support a ban on. I somewhat believe that speaks for itself there. Now we have another darling, Governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. He is 44 years old, so he is the second youngest here, but the youngest with the most political experience sitting here. Now, campaign positions encourage Congress to take up nationwide school choice legislation, and he supports a 6-week abortion ban he signed into law in his state. Now, this is the likely candidates. We're expecting, hoping, sure they've given their thought process of throwing their hat in. Leading that pack would be former Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence. Actually, I've heard that he was throwing his hat in the ring. He is 63 years old, and he said he'll let us know before June is out, but I believe he'll be letting us know within the next couple of days. Now we have the governor of North Dakota, Doug Spurgeon. He is 66 years old. He suggested in an interview that he was really thinking about it, so forth. So we're putting him in the likely candidate. Now we also have former governor of New Jersey, Chris Christie. I actually like Chris Christie. I've met him before. I've heard him speak on the at Politicon. I enjoyed what he had to say. So he's a pretty interesting person too. But then I'm not from New Jersey. He is 60 years old, and he was a part of the Trump campaign when that happened, and he says that he would be the viable Trump alternative, and he would not be supporting the former president for the GOP nomination. There's some waters in there that you should probably read up about. Now, some other semi-likely candidates or in the mix that people are talking about. Chris Sununu, the Republican governor for New Hampshire. You have John Bolton. He's interesting, but I don't think he's a viable candidate if he thought. You have Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota. She's just mentioned it. And you have, please drink some turpentine for this one, Liz Cheney. And then now you have Glenn Youngkin, who was the governor of Virginia. And you have Francis Suarez, who is getting talked about soon too. Now, a couple of people that we can just rule out, there's no question they said, no, we're not doing it. First one would be Josh Hawley, the first-term senator for Missouri. I am kind of happy about this. He is totally awesome. Have you ever seen him grill somebody and when he's talking, asking them questions and so forth, it is absolutely masterful how he asks his questions and how he picks them apart piece by piece, layer by layer. It's just really, really something to see. I enjoy watching his questioning on the Senate. Mike Pompeo, ruled out. Rick Scott, no. He needs to stay under the rock he's been under for the past 20 years. And Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is another person who's in the Senate that is absolutely scary. Every person that has to confront him and be questioned by him should be just peeing in their pants, scary. Okay, this is the crew thus far. This is Conservative Life on Mars. This is the Republican candidates. Please let me know what you think. Am I blowing smoke? Is there somebody here that you like, don't like? Or is there somebody else that you wish would run, is not mentioned here? Or however, let me know.